recording's going.
Do-do-do.
I had a feeling that you were gonna love that from her. It's addicting. She is such a sweetheart.
Yep.
All right. It's time for Donald to put on his anime hat and start geeking out again. Because it may not be Anime April anymore, but we're talking about a good anime, and I'm gonna love it. All right. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the General Geekery Podcast, the podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about, with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm at our fingertips. Possibly typing on a keyboard or whatever. I lost my train of thought on that one. Anyway.
Indeed.
Yes. As always, this is Donald Kaczynski, your resident coffee ninja by day, your gamer, actor, streamer, and coffee drinker all day, all time, all night. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on a caffeine kick. I can't help it. And with me, as always, is Hannah Kubiak. As her self-proclaimed title, I believe you said Undertaker by day, and writer, director, actor, all of the great corners of entertainment by night. I think.
Yes, that's me.
Yes.
That was way better than what I said last episode.
You got it down.
Yep.
I'll help you make it shine.
Cool. Yep.
We'll put it in neon.
Undertaker by day.
Maybe it's like one of those movie things where it's just like the boom 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 in the background. Undertaker by day. Boom boom boom. Actor, director, writer, geek by night.
Undertaker by day, geek by night. Which
Okay.
is interesting because sometimes as an Undertaker, you do work at night as well. So
It's true.
and it's not technically called an Undertaker. That's just a lot shorter than what I actually am.
I think it's also a better sounding name. Honestly.
Yep.
That's just me, though. So, alright. Today, we're talking, as I said before, we're talking about a very special anime. One that I believe is probably one of the best anime of the 2010s. And it's actually my little brother's personal favorite. He lords this show. Excuse me. We are talking about 2011's Steins Gate.
Steins Gate!
Back into the gate! So, this also is going to give us our science fiction fix, because we haven't had a science fiction themed episode in a while.
No, yeah, and this is science fiction. I really enjoy the concept of this show and the rules that you have. You know how there's in any universe there's got to be a set of rules, you know, like like the 3 rules of robotics that Isaac Asimov made. You gotta establish rules so that then you can play around with the rules and defy the rules, and that is what makes something interesting.
Yep. And this one had...
And make a story interesting.
Crazy thing is, like, a lot...
Obey the rules, kid.
Funny thing is, a lot of the rules that are steeped in the show are actually based on real life facts. Which is... I'll explain it.
Did you look that up on Google?
I remember you texted me that the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what they do call the search engine in this. I forgot about that.
Google, yeah, that cracked me up. I think, what was it? I was like live sending you messages of my impressions, like, last night while I was watching it.
Yeah, and I was laughing. I'm just like, oh my god, she's gonna love this.
Oh yeah, it was like, here's some of my comments from as far as I've gotten. Type it into Google. Lol. This guy's ridiculous. The occasional kindness he shows Mayuri is his only redeeming quality.
Well, he has more redeeming qualities, but that doesn't come up until later.
Yeah,
which is...
I started to have a little bit of sympathy for him by the end. My favorite quote so far is, "You're too much to deal with." Which, like, he was, like, standing on a rooftop, just going, like, "I am the mad scientist!"
Curing Kilma!
Yeah, and she's just standing there, she's like, "You're too much to deal with." And like, oh Lord, the last thing this guy needs is for someone to tell him he's important. A savior, in fact.
Oh, man.
And he's laughing. That's a surprise.
All
Yeah, so clearly I'm not a fan of this guy. We'll get into the progression of my feelings for this whatever he
So
Okarin.
yeah,
I like to think of him as what Mayushi calls him.
Okabe Rintaro is his actual name. Hyoin
Okabe.
Kyoma is basically like his mad scientist stage name.
Yeah, I figured that much.
And all right. So Steins Gate, science fiction, like this particular version of science fiction that takes place in this show. We actually haven't covered this concept of science fiction. The concept of time travel. Mm-hmm. There are many different great time travel stories in fiction that have taken place. You've got the DeLorean mechanisms of Back to the Future. You've got Doctor Who and the TARDIS. You have so many different time travel stories where, like, it's basically a subgenre of science fiction all on its own. Mm. And Steins Gate sets itself apart from the rest due to real-world theories. Mm-hmm. And, like, bringing them all together into, like, a concise and straightforward method, but with the central plot revolving around this method of time travel.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, they discovered it completely by accident.
That's the crazy thing.
I love it.
This was never they never intended for this to happen.
No.
Which is the crazy part.
They just wanted a microwave that you could start with your phone. Mm-hmm. and it turned into a time machine.
And it turned into a time machine. A literal god time machine.
Yeah.
So, alright. So, Steins Gate, the anime that was produced in 2011, was actually originally a Japanese visual novel game. So, it was adapted from that source. And it was released in 2011. It had about a 24-episode run, and actually also had a follow-up movie.
Yeah, I saw that there was a movie, but at that point, I had to be here in an hour, so I didn't have time to watch it.
So we'll do like a separate reaction for another time for whenever that happens.
Yeah. True to form, yeah. I had like 2 weeks notice to watch this show, and I binged it last night and this morning, and looked at my watch and was like, oh, hey, I gotta leave to go record the podcast now. That's what I always do for some reason.
Hey, you got through a good portion of it, and it's still fresh in your mind. So you know what?
It's fresh in my mind.
As long as it's fresh in your mind, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, the world of Steins Gate is it's more of like a contemporary type world. So around 2008, 2009, I believe, is when the show takes place.
No, it takes place in 2010.
2010? Okay, thank you. All right, because it's been a while since I saw through the show. I had to read up on some certain parts. It takes place in Japan, obviously. It follows the college mad student Okabe Rintaro, who's an inventor of sorts in the self-proclaimed Future Gadgets Laboratory, with his number one companion, Mayuri. Mayushi. Bless her, protect her at all costs. Oh. And then the right-hand man and the stereotypical otaku geek nut, Daru. Mm-hmm. My God. And of course, more characters get introduced throughout the show. Renowned scientist of the same age as Okabe, Makise Kurisu, love her. You have Amane Suzuha, who Okabe calls the working class soldier. You've got Ruka Urashibara, pure as snow, everything like that. But Ruka's a guy. Gotta hammer that home. Yep. You got oh man, I'm forgetting all these names.
I am too, especially because they all have multiple like nicknames and stuff, and they call each other. They barely ever call each other by their real names as well, because they're always digging at each other by calling each other stupid stuff.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yep.
I'm sorry for this confusing ride that I have taken you on.
Yep. It is a confusing ride. I tried to write down their names, but I couldn't keep it straight. But so I think of them in different descriptors, like.
Oh, okay. I got them. So.
Yep.
So you've also got the maid cafe worker and owner Ferris, and the silent constant phone typing quiet girl Moeka. Those are the two that I was forgetting.
Yeah.
So they're all connected to our main guy Okabe in a way. In the first episode, he attends a scientific hearing. Following it, he comes across the body of the recently murdered body of Makise Kurisu. Mm-hmm. And he's slightly traumatized by it. He sends a text to Daru about it, and all of a sudden something changes.
Something weird happens.
And somehow it goes on. As time goes on, apparently Kurisu's alive. He's trying to figure out what the heck's going on, and finds out that through a series of like weirdly coincidental accidents, they created Daru and Okabe created, using a microwave and a phone, a time machine that is able to shift world lines or timelines, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, the branching off path theory, where like butterfly effect, every single choice leads to a different branch in a timeline. Basically that theory of time travel. And so they decide to investigate further in, trying to figure it out. And it leads to a bunch of different relations to discovering government, underground government backstory, stuff like that. What else was there? Oh yeah, the John Tudor story about a man who came from the future and basically tell the concept of time travel and how the future ends up. Which if I remember right, was actually a thing that happened in the real world.
Really?
I think so. I think a similar occurrence happened in the real world.
Somebody with that name, or just...
Yeah, somebody with that name. Like John Tudor or John Titor.
Tidor, yeah, it's Tidor.
Titor, yeah. Because, a lot of this, the scientific stuff, like I said, with Steins Gate is based on, real-world theories that have presented itself. And it just takes those concepts and run with them.
Yeah.
So the series revolves around, the interactions with all of them at the laboratory, and they all become very close. They all become friends and everything like that, but the world line changes several times, with each member doing it for specific reasons, which we don't find out until later in the second half, when everything starts to fall apart.
Yeah. So let's take it back a minute, and how exactly... So they figure out how to send emails back in time.
Yeah.
So, if I recall correctly, how they are able to do that is if you... They figured out how to develop this, but the very first thing was if your phone was connected to the microwave and somebody sent you a message... Depending on, if it was connected to the microwave while the microwave was running, if somebody sent you a message, depending on how long the microwave was set for, the message would actually go back in time. So, was it was it 1 second per hour or something? Because the first message that he sent, it went back 5 days.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. It's something along those guidelines, because I remember one of the messages they sent, they were trying to send it to a pager that was that was 17 years
in
prior.
the 70s. Yeah, because What's his name?
Ruka.
Ruka, yeah.
Because Ruka wanted to send that just because of a bunch of stuff, and because the timelines changed, Ruka ended up being born a girl. They're very, very
just like he wanted. I couldn't tell the difference between them, but I believe that it happened.
It happened. Let's believe it. Moving on. We don't need to talk about weird scenes like that. Just leave Ruka alone.
Mm-hmm. Leave Ruka be.
Let Ruka be Ruka.
So they figured out the whole time thing, and the girl Kurisu, who Okube originally saw dead, because he sent that message to his friend while his friend's phone was hooked up to the microwave while the microwave was running. And
while the TV was on downstairs in the TV shop downstairs, because apparently that's a thing that needs to happen for this to work.
Yep.
So, like I said, series of circumstances.
Yeah, so all of these things lined up, and he sent a message. It went back 5 days to his friend, and for some reason, because of that message and like the butterfly effect, circumstances changed all over the place, and it turned out that Kurisu actually didn't die. So he sees her later, and he has a little freak out moment where he's touching her hair to make sure she's real, and like, oh my gosh, you're alive, and she's like, you weirdo. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I would probably react in a certain way. Probably not the touching bit, but you know what? I'm just like,
it's real.
Yeah,
it's real.
I'm like, I would freak out.
Yep. Absolutely.
I would absolutely freak out.
But despite all this sexual harassment, she ends up working with them on the time machine. So
he's such a dense,
such a strange person. Like, yeah, he's just so arrogant and smug, and he's really not that great.
But it's true. But
he literally discovered the time machine by accident. And all his other inventions were just kind of lame.
Well, there's a reason why he puts up that front, but
yeah, he's very insecure, probably.
Well, there's a few things about that.
Also, isn't he he's always talking to somebody on the phone who's not really there? Is it some sort of delusion?
He's basically putting up an. All right, so let's talk about the characters. So
yeah, let's do that.
Okabe Rintaro.
I do not understand him at all.
Hoin Kyoma, or as my brother likes to call it, the man who somehow inexplicably somehow, through sheer circumstances, gets out of every single awkward situation imaginable in the weirdest way possible. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when you first meet him, he'd be very off-putting, everything like that. He's very bombastic, over the top, kind of like a weird Doctor Who in a way. It's like the best way I can probably describe him, just in terms of off the walls.
Yeah, off the walls. He's a self-proclaimed mad scientist.
But as we find out later,
it's kind of childlike in a way.
Which is basically like how it presents itself, because he has to put up that act because of an event that happened in the past that affected one of the people he cares most about, which leads us to
Mayushi.
It's so infectious, that damn little cheer.
I don't usually like those sort of peppy, cute characters, but I really liked her. She
is a precious flower that must be protected at all costs, and she is basically the source of she's basically like a light for Okabe. He cares about her a lot. So the reason why Okabe put on the act for the mad scientist was in the past, years and years prior to the series, when Mayuri's grandmother died, and she was very upset about it. She was beyond depressed, and Okabe was trying to cheer her up, and he cared for her a lot, and basically that's when the mad scientist thing kicked in. He's like, you're my hostage, I'm the mad scientist, you're staying here, damn it. And they basically ran with it.
Yep.
So it's emotional dependence on each other, really. It's
that was like when you understand people's actions, that was the scene where I was kind of like, okay, now I kind of understand why he is the way he is now.
Yeah, it takes a long while for like the series to like unravel like itself.
Yeah.
Which is pretty like a lot of the stuff that hits the fan really doesn't happen until after 10 episodes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just that little and it melts my heart. I'm like, this explains so much, and I feel so sad now.
Yep. Aw. Yeah, and like why she's always looking up and reaching for stars and stuff. It's like the stars are still there, even if you can't see them.
And why she always acts so childlike. She's in a very child state of mind.
Yep. It's almost like almost like they're both sort of their regressed development, kind of.
Yeah,
because of the trauma.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's basically like that's basically what came of it. Mm-hmm. And moving on through that, we have best girl, awesome girl, Makise Kurisu. Love her to death.
She's way more down to earth than these other two.
She's way more down to earth. She's a genius. She's a prodigy in the scientific field.
Yep.
Much to the chagrin of her father, but that's an entire nutshell. But,
oh yeah, don't even give me an opportunity to unpack that relationship.
like that's a headache in of itself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's annoyed by like Okabe's like childishness and everything like that. Like she finds it endearing to an extent, like later on down the line, but like those two become very close. It's almost like it's almost like Sherlock Holmes and Watson to an extent. Mm-hmm. It becomes like that kind of like weird kind of partnership.
Yeah, where she's like
she's definitely the Watson.
She's the Watson.
She's
like the down to earth person. Yeah, like I said before. It's just like, okay, the rest of us mortals aren't following your train of thought. Come back, please. Mm-hmm. and so she is constantly Okabe's rock through like all these time traveling shenanigans, which we'll get into in just a little bit. Yeah, and which is weird as well because this all started with basically him seeing her dead,
and which will come back around.
Oh goodness!
It hurts. Yeah. All right, member number 4, Daru. Basically, he's the hacker, or as Okabe likes to call him, Hack.
Yeah, some of the translations I don't understand.
Yeah, the translations are weird. Even when you put it into dub format, it's just like
what? Yeah.
Nani?
Nani?
Nandayo. my weeaboo was showing. But that was a really good nani though. But yeah, he's very big otaku. He goes to Akihabara a lot, maid cafe, all that stuff, into the moe culture and everything like that.
Yeah.
He's big. And
he's a bit of a perv.
Oh yeah, he's a bit major perv. But somehow, like, this leads us into the next person, Amane Suzuha. Originally, she's introduced as a part-time worker for the television repair shop that Okabe lives over.
Yep.
And
don't say who she is.
And
it blew my mind.
I won't say anything. She's given the name part-time soldier.
Warrior, right?
Part-time soldier, part-time warrior, something along those lines. Because she displays like a lot of like militaristic like aspects where she's just like ready gung ho for battle and everything like that.
Yep. Yeah, like she has like a beat stick or something. Like she sees somebody that she doesn't like for reasons that we won't get into. But they're just talking nicely, and then this person shows up, and she, like, suddenly has this weapon in her hand. And she's, like, ready to fight. You're like, what? Or, like, there's this thing where someone's about to... like she takes out an entire gang of soldiers and, like, ends up in a, like, gun face-off with the leader. And you're just like, how the heck... This girl works in a TV shop part-time. How is she doing all of this?
Part-time soldier. It goes with the narrative.
Part-time soldier. Yep.
then you've got Moeka, who they met purely by randomness, I believe. She's a very withdrawn person, and She doesn't really speak a lot, except for she mainly communicates via text.
Mm-hmm. Even when you're right in front of her.
Yeah, even when you're right in front of her. She's very she seems more detached.
Uh-huh.
I believe she follows, like, the stereotype of, like, what they call, like, a... This is weird. Okay, kudere. I had to remember this because I was rereading this the other day. Kudere is, like, a stereotype that is, like, a person seems very cold, calculating, uncaring on the outside, but on the inside they're very... They care a lot more than what they show, like, unbelievably so. Like,
oh,
they just can't really express it.
Yeah. That's me.
Dang. Fair enough. So, there's that.
Cold as ice.
Then you got someone who's the complete opposite of that. Ferris. Or, Ferris. Or, some people call her Ferris Down or something like that. She's basically runs a maid cafe for Akihabara. And, very upbeat, very outgoing, and a very good card game player for the card game that exists in that world.
Yep. Yeah, she's like... Oh, gosh.
She's like a female Yu-Gi-Oh! In a maid outfit.
Yep.
It's weird. There's no other way to describe it.
Oh, man.
And then you've got Ruka.
The
Shrine Maiden, who's a guy.
Yep.
And who's basically Okabe's pupil in the ways of the sword.
Yep. Which... What? Yeah.
Who knows?
You're my pupil in the ways of the sword. Like, okay.
You must train yourself well, Ruka.
Oh, man.
But all of those characters pretty much comprise, like, the core group of characters that's concentrated on throughout the majority of the series.
Yep.
And, like...
All the lab members.
All the lab members of the Future Gadget Laboratory. So the first, as we said, the first 10 episodes follows, like, their exploits into, like, researching, like, the methods of time travel and everything like that, digging through documents of the corporation CERN in that timeline. Some deep, dark secrets that, like, the public wouldn't want getting out.
Yep. Well, they wouldn't. The corporation wouldn't want getting out to the public.
Yeah, the corporation doesn't want getting out to the public.
They were experimenting with sending people back in time, but
a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, you can't transport organic matter back through time without it becoming like a green goo.
Yeah, at least through the method like they were using in the show.
Like 14 people that this company tested this on went back in time, and then there were like corresponding news articles from like 1940, 1970s, however far back they decided to send the person. It was like, this body was found in this strange gelatinous form. And it's like, oh well, they died. Subject is dead. Mismatch.
And so eventually, like, they find a way to be able to, like, time travel by sending a person's consciousness. But during the process, like, developing this, Okabe gets all these, like, threatening texts and everything like that, saying, like, they were watching, and he's like, okay. Before they even try to send somebody back, we're like, wait. We've done enough.
Yeah.
Like, we can stop. Like, we've proven that this can work. Let's not risk this.
Yeah.
And as they are...
Okabe didn't even need a reason to be paranoid. Like...
He didn't need to, but he was
very paranoid to begin with.
He was very paranoid to begin with, but like the act pretty much like infused him with like the sense of paranoia. Like he became so part of his like character that he created that it basically blended some of his true feelings with like his character stuff. It's basically became him. And then the night that they were celebrating like the success and everything like that is when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
I'll keep some of the details hidden for people who want to watch the show, but
so many twists.
I have to explain the big one in order for like to drive home like the second half.
Sure.
Basically, a covert military raid happens on the lab where they're capturing everyone for like the secrets of the time travel, and during the skirmish, the love and Mayushi, flower of the laboratory, is killed. Right before Okabe's eyes.
Yep. And this is like the thing that his whole life is based on, is taking care of her, and he failed.
And so he gets like the rare chance like to send his consciousness back on an untested machine, and it works.
Yep.
And he keeps trying to save Mayuri over and over and over, and it keeps failing.
It's like a Groundhog's Day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know how many times, like, during those initial things that he sent back. They might have explained it in the show, but I don't remember.
They only showed a couple of them. It's also kind of like that. Have you seen Supernatural at all?
I've seen bits of it, yeah.
It reminded me of, there was this one where they were stuck, one of the brothers was stuck in the same day over and over again, where his brother got killed in some way, and it would happen no matter what he did. It would always end with his brother dying.
Yep, that's basically what happened with this. No matter what happened, it didn't matter if it was like through the execution squad or through some other contrived stuff, but at the same
Just
time,
randomly hit by a car.
At the same time, every single day, Mayuri would die. So backtracking it, they figure out, because Okabe has to keep explaining this to Kurisu every single time.
Right, because he's the only one who remembers.
He's the only one who remembers, and Kurisu is the only one that has enough trust in him to fully believe this.
And knows how to make the machine.
So she has to go along with this. And they figure out that it's because of like the emails that they sent back in, that all the different members sent back into the past, that did all of this. So they have to find some way to rechange all of that.
Yeah, to like get rid of all of the effects of all of the emails that they sent back in time to change the future.
Yep, and it's a bunch of different things that happen for each one. Some of them are more personal, others are for, well, a lot of them were pretty much personal.
Yep, yeah.
But, oddly enough, Ferris's one was one that hit me hard, and I'm like, oh. Because with how hers worked in the show, when she sent her D-mail, the entire district of Akihabara in Japan, which is this center of anime culture, moe and everything like that, was completely changed.
Yep.
Into like this residential, like business-like district, all because she sent a D-mail back into the past, because her family had a big influence in Akihabara. She's apparently super rich, apparently. That she sent a D-mail back into the past. Her father, to save her father from dying on some kind of like overseas accident or something like that, that left her basically without parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the big one where it ultimately decided, like, Okabe's like, I have to take away their happiness to save my... And he has to explain it to all of them, which is like the biggest kick to the stomach. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yep. Oh, man. Yeah. Some of those were just horrible. Yeah.
And then it comes to a point where we have to delete the first D-mail that was sent.
Yeah.
Where... I don't know if I should really... We kind of have...
Yeah, no.
Basically, the first email that was sent was the one that was sent by accident after Okabe found Kurisu's dead body.
So if he undoes that one, she'll be dead again.
If he undoes that one, Mayuri lives, but Makise Kurisu will be dead in that timeline.
Yep. So, yeah, he's got to figure out how to... Like, he has to decide.
Yeah, he has to decide and all that. But and normally, like, maybe a show would end like that, but there's another way that the show does it. But I'll leave that up for people to watch, because, like...
goodness, yeah.
Like, the character interactions are what make this show. For me.
Oh, man, yeah.
I love deep character interactions, and just, like... I mean, there's a bunch of usual anime silliness, everything like that, but you gotta take it for this medium.
Yup, pretty much. Oh, man.
So obviously I'm a big fan of the show. Hannah, you said you recently watched it on recommendation from me for the podcast.
Yes, I watched it yesterday and today.
So some of your reactions from like all this stuff that you watched, because you watched almost up to the end.
Yeah. And I also read a summary so that I would know what's going on. But I mean, I'm still probably gonna watch it.
Highly recommend it.
I'm definitely going to. Yeah, At first I was a little bit underwhelmed, Then I was annoyed with Okube. And then I fell in love with Mayuri. And then I was fascinated by the time travel stuff. And when it became sort of not sending people's bodies back in time, but sending just their memories, that was so cool to me.
Yeah.
I love that idea because, yeah, instead of just like you're about to do something and suddenly you from the future appears and tells you, hey, stop, don't do that. Instead, it's just knowledge.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're a different person. Almost. Basically, you're the person that you will become if you don't change your own present to impact the future. Like, and just
that's
I also kind of wonder because because his he would be the same age, but his mind would be older. Because like when he was trying to save Mayuri, he was going back and back and back and back over and over and over again. And it's like, wow, his mind must be like years older now than and I think that's part of the reason why, like, even though we see like a video that he made in the future and sent it back where he's still doing all these weird things, like he's still calling himself a mad scientist and all that, like he definitely gets more mature and serious as it goes on. Especially in the second half, like he has like so many breaking points. Yeah, where he basically just like he says, I'm fed up with like all the lies that I made for myself. What the hell was I thinking? What was the point of it all? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Kurisu's looking at this. She's like, am I really listening to this? This is what is happening. Yeah, like the mad scientist guy that I know would never admit that, basically. Yeah, like he would never say that he made a mistake. I just broke my pen. Oh! So weird. He would never admit to making a mistake. Like, and she's like, please stop. Bring back the crazy guy that I've come to adore. Yeah, because this is too real for me. You're too much to deal with. Yeah, pretty much. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna just look and see if there's anything else that I. But yeah, I started to feel for him a little bit. Kind of with the backstory with Mayuri and why they are the way that they are, and then just seeing him try so hard to save her, and how he does that. And it's like, okay, yeah, when all the chips are down and he's really thinking about, like, he's going after a real goal, the persona, the mad scientist persona, like, just goes away. It's like, it's not important anymore what I seem like, because I have to save her. Pretty much. Yeah. And, oh, I'm so sad. I don't remember what point this is in, but, like, he had done something that it was really sad for him because only he could remember it, but it seemed like a really good thing to everybody else. And he was telling them all about this. He's like, it's all okay now. It's all going to be fine. But Mayuri is like, knows him really well, and she looks at him and she's like, it's going to be okay. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's what I was just saying. This was a victory speech. And she's like, yeah, but you don't look like a victory speech. She is very empathetic. Yeah. And she's it hurts because it's like, she knows. She knows him too well for him to hide anything from her. Yeah. They're basically so intertwined with each other. Like it's almost like a hive mind. I'm like, oh my god, I can't take this. But yeah, it was a sad thing because like she could see that she was like, okay, everything around you is fixed, but I can see that you're not fixed. And she says something like, you can cry for yourself now. She does say that at one point. I'm like, that got me so much. I'm like, so I was like, okay, like his whole life and his whole personality that he's built for himself has been to protect her, and by like saying you're my hostage because I'm this crazy person.
Right.
That's what's going to keep you here with me. Maybe also because maybe she sees him as somebody that she has to take care of as well, because like
you're hopeless, Okari.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, he puts on this act of being this pompous, genius, crazy person, but really, I think he just doesn't want to deal with who he's become, really.
And it's tough, especially with like all the time hops he had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is like the oh god.
Yeah. It just goes to show you how it wasn't even his trauma to begin with. It was hers.
Which spilled onto him.
Which spilled onto him because they were so close. And I guess you can kind of use that as an excuse. You're like, I'm solving other people's problems. I don't have a problem. But you really do. Like, trying to solve other people's problems becomes your problem in the end.
I emphasize with that hard.
Same.
Because I'm like, I know how that feels. Oh, yep. Shit.
Codependency, clink, clink.
But yeah, those are really good observations.
Very good. Thank you.
And yeah, I will admit a good chunk of the first half is really, it can be a little bit of a trod to get through at times.
It can be tough.
But they're necessary for everything else that follows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's probably one of the best uses of time travel I've seen in fiction. Also, probably one of the most original.
Yeah. Oh man, it definitely surpassed my expectations.
I had a feel it was gonna be a bit of a hard. I knew it was gonna be a bit of a hard sell to you because with everything, like especially the first couple of episodes, and I was like, I hope she's not overbeared by this, but I'm glad it came through in the end.
Yep.
I'm very glad it came through.
The first couple episodes, I was like, okay, we're talking about this in the podcast, so I have to watch it. And then I think it was about episode 10. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great story. I have to watch this.
That's usually the turning point. Yep. Around episode 9 or episode 10 is usually the turning point where everybody is like, that one's usually the make or break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is obviously weird because I know a lot of people, when it comes to shows and animes, they give it like the 3-episode rule.
Yeah.
You can't really do that with Steins Gate.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a lover of science fiction and you love, like, the world building leading up to, like, the payoff moments...
Yeah.
This is where everything you need to be patient.
Yep.
This is a show that pays off for patience.
Yep.
And it's really good.
Oh, man. Oh.
So, I know I highly recommend it, but...
Yeah. You know what we should do sometime? We're doing time travel stuff. We should watch that movie. I think it's called Primer.
Ooh.
It's about these people building a time machine. And it kind of reminded me of this show a little bit, because there are certain rules, and it's a little bit janky.
We need an entire episode just based on time travel in general.
About time travel? Yeah.
Yeah, that needs to be a thing.
Yeah, like, talk about all the Star Trek episodes where they traveled in time.
There's so many of them.
Oh my gosh. Edith Keeler must die.
My God.
There, you can buy a T-shirt that says that.
I believe it. I believe it.
Keeler must die.
So, Hannah, would you recommend this highly?
Hell yeah.
All right. Awesome. That's awesome to hear.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys listening can enjoy it as well.
Oh yeah.
Currently, Steins Gate is, I believe, under license by Funimation. They have the sub and dub on their website at Funimation.com. You can check out the series on Amazon and Hulu. I believe Hulu only has it subbed.
Yep, that's where I watched it.
Yeah, Hulu only has it subbed, unfortunately. I think you can check the dub out on Amazon, but you have to pay for the series on Amazon.
Right,
which is what I saw.
Any notable voices in the dub?
In the dub, I know Travis Willingham is in the dub. He plays the TV shop owner.
Oh.
No, wait.
Mr. Brown?
No. I don't know if it's Travis Willingham or if it's it might be someone other than Travis. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. No, it's not Travis. Hold on. I have the cast list right here.
Okay.
I know it's a lot of regulars from Funimation.
It's somebody we may have heard of.
Let me see.
Yep.
Oh no, wait! It's Chris Sabat. It's Chris Sabat.
Oh, okay.
AKA Alex Louise Armstrong.
Right. I can see that. I can see him playing Mr. Brown.
Somewhere Thomas is listening to this. Somewhere our friend Thomas is listening to this episode and saying, "Armstrong line of alchemy."
Yep, a strong arm alchemist.
Yep, and then you've got Ashley. So yeah, J. Michael Tatum, Trina Nishimura, Ashley Birch, Jeremy Lee. Mm-hmm. All really good names.
Yep. Wow.
So yeah. What and also the dub's fantastic too. So definitely if you guys can find the dub, go check it out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's I think that's pretty much it for this episode.
Yeah. I might go back and watch the dub.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yep. Nope. You were just closing it up, and I started.
Yeah, but I do. Yeah, but I do recommend going to watch the dub. The dub is fun. And I don't know how it was possible, but Mayuri also is just as cute, dub and sub. I'm like, how do you do it?
Oh man.
But yeah. All right, so this has been the episode of the General Geekery podcast. If you guys like what you listen to, make sure to follow us wherever podcasts can be found. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker. And we're also on YouTube at Anime Rev Productions, my personal YouTube channel.
Yep, just type it into Google.
Yep, type it into Google. All the good stuff. You can also check us out on social media at Facebook and Twitter at Gen Geek Podcast, and on Instagram at General Geekery. Hannah, where can I check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. You can also listen to my other podcast that I do with my mom called Splanknicks, where we talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff, tabletop gaming, books, movies, all from the perspectives of two different generations. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Pythian Legume.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on social media at Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. You can also find me on twitch.tv at RyuzakiMK7 as well, where I stream a bunch of different games, mostly RPG-based, but I usually have a lot of fun with them doing random on-the-spot voice acting and just interacting with the chat room. It's a lot of fun. So, thank you very much again, guys, for listening to this episode 38 of the General Geekery podcast. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski, and until next time, guys, always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Da-da-da.
El Sai Konguru.
El Sai Konguru.
Double clink, clink on that. Later, guys.
What does that even mean?
I think it's a made-up thing. It's a made-up thing he made.